Whether or not you join the challenge is not the question here. I'm talking about making significant changes in your life. So I was on a phone call this morning, and the great question, which I really feel every human being has bouts that they experience this question, was how do I get myself motivated to care more than I do? This woman had had a few children, and she discussed her feelings of not feeling good enough. Like when she would be on social media, she talked about how she has really reduced the amount of people that she follows, and recognizes that the people she chooses to follow and the things that they post are absolutely what she chooses to program into her mind as normal and reality. So that's a very important thing, and I'm super proud of her for doing that. So that's the thing, is if you take away all outside influences and all of the world's suggestions of what's right, whether we're talking about weight or looks, you take away what the world says is good enough, and you just literally sit with yourself in a quiet, empty room and have to face yourself and say, what do I say is enough and right and healthy and appropriate for, maybe you've had children, maybe you're a man who has, 25 years in a career and many ups and downs and family and fathership, and maybe you're a college student who is just trying to get through everything that schooling demands. No matter what your experience is, can you sit with yourself and define what enough is? So I'm going to take you through a few questions. I encourage you, if you're watching this, pull out a pen and a paper, because that's the purpose of this particular training, is to help you get your mind right. This is something that we do in private coaching when an individual is just like, I really don't know what to do with myself. And that's when we're able to dig deep together. So one of the first things I'd like you to think of is it's an inside job. I think you can see that there. This is an inside job. If you leave it to the world to tell you what's right, what's good enough, you're going to go to your grave never figuring it out. You're going to go to your grave miserable, and that's nothing we want to hear on that, you're on your deathbed. That's the common thing. Like, what's the things you're going to regret? What are you going to wish you could have back? What are you going to recall and remember from your time? And my hope is that you don't sit there and remember that you never measured up to the world's standards of what you should look like or feel like. And in a very marketing rich world where everyone's trying to get you to buy products and potions and magic stuff, that's very difficult. And so you have to take control of that by determining who you follow, what shows you watch, what you do with your time, how much time you spend on technology. And that takes a real conversation. If you have more than you in the household, that takes a family conversation, particularly within the final 2 hours of the day. The first 1 hour of the day and the final 2 hours of the day are what set the tone for your life. And if all we're doing is turning to our phones and scrolling, if all we're doing is turning on YouTube or Hulu or Netflix or whatever you happen to watch, are we simply numbing ourselves out of existence? And is there any wonder we are lacking motivation? I'm not saying these things are wrong. I do enjoy a good Harry Potter movie from time to time, and I watch about one movie a week. Other than that, we don't have TV. We don't do anything other than that. It's education based in our household, at least with us as a couple. That's what we try and do. We try not to do mindless, numbing entertainment. So other than that, you have to really ask yourself, am I taking responsibility for what I would like to happen in my life? So that's the first step, is stop pawning it off on other people and stop giving away your power by mindlessly spending it in front of nullifying entertainment sources that don't provide you any substantial, valid improvements in your life. Okay, the next thing is to sit down and make a logical list. What are the things in your health, in your family, in your education that do need improved? What are the things that you know you have been educated enough? Perhaps you got a lab report back and you are feeling like, okay, I am overweight. And that's a very logical thing to say. That's not an emotional thing. If you are overweight by standard of, what doctors and normal BMI is, I mean, that's relative too. You could have a ton of muscle, but if you're overweight or not, okay? Then that would go on the list. If you have high cholesterol, if you have high blood pressure, If you have any other condition in your body, you need to write that down. That's a very logical thing that you need to recognize you have a responsibility for. And I'll get to this on point number 4, but the reality is if we're not threading spirituality and our own beliefs about who we are, why we're on earth, why we have a body into these choices, they're kind of empty. It's like dressing up a beautiful, I think I have lipstick on my teeth, yeah. It's like dressing up a beautiful home and decorating it and landscaping it and doing everything to the exterior, and then you go to show the house and you walk inside and it's empty. That is exactly what talking about motivation and achievement and goals and making changes if you do not thread spirituality into it. And that's the reality. And that's a hard conversation. That's something many people need coached through. And I'm happy to do that for you if you're in that space. So make the logical list. What needs to change? You could also make a logical list. What's going well? What are you seeing as a good habit? If you want to isolate your health, you can, or you can isolate any area of your life you would like to. Financial, you could do education, you could do parenting, you could do spousal relationships. You can absolutely do this with anything. So make a logical list of what's going well, what's not going well. Next, you need to make an emotional list. What is going well, what's not going well? Here's a few ideas of the emotional things that aren't going well. Do you use negative self-talk? Do you beat yourself up when you, in brief moments, maybe you do feel happy and super awesome all the time, but then around that one person you feel super insecure and judgmental and maybe even jealous, and then you get angry, and you know, are you experiencing any of those roller coasters of emotions around other people? Because you can't just isolate yourself in your home for the rest of your life. That defeats the purpose of life. So another emotionally unhealthy habit would be self-deprecation in front of others for the purpose of getting a compliment from them. Oftentimes women will do this with their husbands, and I'll quite frankly say it's not fair. It's not fair to say, oh, I'm just having a fat day, or, you know, I don't even like that word, but it's also not fair to say, does this make me look fat? Like, these types of very stereotypical things that women will ask or say to men, the reality is they're there for a reason, and they are, if you don't actively fight them, they will happen. Women, you cannot expect your man to validate something that you cannot validate within yourself. If you feel you don't look good, you should not be turning to someone else for that approval. And I think that's the way most women work, which is why we're all so active to say, oh my gosh, you look so cute today. Cute purse, cute shoes. Oh my gosh, your hair is so on point. And as women, I wish that we could all just take a tiny step up. Now, I'm not saying I don't like any of those things. I love hair, makeup, shoes, purses as much as the next person. But I think we may do ourselves a service if we would simply step up to the next level a little bit and start looking to validate ourselves from within, that those things lose some of their meaning and their value in our lives. Guess what? Probably would save you a few bucks too, because then you're not trying to go around validating yourself by purchasing all these high-end products and things that everyone's trying to sell you, making you feel like if you're not this fashionable queen of makeup in all these boutiques on Instagram, then you're not enough. You have to set the standard. What is enough? My feeling is that if we're struggling in this in nutrition, it's probably actually stemming from some other places as well. It's all correlative. The final place to look at getting yourself motivated is you need to know, why do I have a body? Why? Have you ever investigated that question? Have you asked yourself that question? Have you looked into possible theories? Have you felt strongly in your heart why that might be? Now, here's the thing. Maybe you feel like you know, maybe you just have very good evidence. Maybe you feel like you just like the way something feels. That's okay. What matters is that you take a thought about why you have a body and you use that as motivation. I'll let you guys come up with your own ideas, but I'll just, to end this video, share some of my ideas and what keeps me going. At the end of this life, I do believe I will meet God. At the end of this life, I will be 100% accountable for what I have done with my time in this earthly frame, in this body that is not mine, that is on loan, that, oh, it's gonna make me cry, that I have no right to denigrate. I have no right to beat it down with my words. And if I was true to my heart 100% of the time and kept myself in that spiritual space, it would shift the way I do many things. I feel like I get better and better at this, but none of us are perfect. It's all a journey. It's all a journey for us. But when I account for my body, especially with my scoliosis condition, I would love to be able to say to my God, I did my best to eat as well as I knew how and to utilize the research available to make the most of this. I did everything in my power to take care of it, to keep my brain active, to try to keep myself aligned with what I envisioned of thee. And I have done my best, and I'm broken, and I need healing. And I feel good about what I've been able to do, and it's not enough. And will you make up the difference? And to me, that is healing. That is what we do here at Body Buddies. None of us actually has the power to heal our own bodies. Every ounce of change is by the grace of God. And we forget to give him that credit. We forget that it's his power that makes us stronger than we are on our own. We forget that we're not alone. We forget that it's not just up to us to make changes. It's up to us to turn to him to ask for help. I do believe he expects us to use all the resources available to study it out, to really try and learn. And our best will improve over time as we learn, as we improve. But within, no matter what level we're at in that learning or where our habits are at, there's grace to be found, and only through grace do we make change. So when you are dealing with lack of motivation, when you are feeling that there's just no push in you, no drive, I venture, and with a great deal of respect, I venture to suggest that your spirituality needs a little more tapping into. Use your morning. Look at what you can do to bring, and when I say spirituality, I'm not saying like you need to learn and memorize tons of stuff. I'm saying tapping into what this connection feels like. That's when you're going to start getting motivated, my friends. And it's not a one-time job. It's not even a once-a-day job. It's constant immersion in it. It's remembering God in our hearts always, praying always. That will get and keep you motivated. Power your body, 1 meal, 1 workout, 1 day at a time.